As people come in, we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to thank you all for being here tonight on behalf of the City Council and the Nash and Edgecombe County Boards of Commissioners. And I welcome you tonight to the Twin Counties Visioning Town Hall Forum. We started this process about a year ago, and we'll talk about a little bit about what our purpose was and how we got here. But we knew it was going to take 12 to 18 months to go through this process. We're at 12 months now into it, and tonight what you're going to hear is some updates about where we've been over the last 12 months, study circles. You're going to hear from the co-chairman of the process, and so hopefully when you leave tonight, you're going to be asked also to get involved again, a call to action to go to the next step. So what I'd like to do right now is just go back to the beginning and our purpose. And realistically, we started this process after some people in the community and a couple of businessmen. The first meeting I went to had to do with a couple of people that were concerned about the community. There was a lot of feedback, most of it negative, out of the 2009 Forbes magazine story that talked about the poverty in our area. And so a couple of businessmen called myself and a couple of city council members and commissioners just to chat, just to talk about the community and how we might work together as an area, as a Twin County area, to overcome some of the issues that we were dealing with. And so this is the impetus of where we got started and how it came about. And during that process, there was I don't think any of us thought we'd be at this point today. And I'm going to use the analogy, and our city manager used it the other day in a presentation about where we want to go. And he talked about the story he had heard about Wayne Gretzky, and great hockey player, and how he scored all the goals that he scored during his lifetime as a hockey player. And what he said was he didn't skate to the goal. He skated to where the puck was going to be, or he didn't skate to the puck, he skated to where the puck was going to be. And I think that's where we are tonight. You know, we know where we are now. We don't need to be where we are. We need to be looking to where we want to be in the future. And so that's part of the process and what we're going through tonight. This process started back in 2010. During the time that we were having those small meetings, one of the people that came down and met with us was Dr. James Johnson from the Keenan Flagler School of Business. His initial visit with us was just to chat with us, to talk about some of the issues that we were concerned about, because quite honestly with you, after about 2 or 3 meetings, you look at each other and say, what do we do now? And so having him come down really kind of solidified some things and realized that we needed to do something. So after he came down, we asked him to give us a proposal about what he would do, and he's done this type of work throughout the country. And so he came back with a proposal to do a process of looking at our strengths and weaknesses in this community, and that's what he came back with when he did this. And so he developed the original process in terms of finding our weaknesses and strengths, and many of you have seen that report. It's online with the city and with the counties, I believe. If you haven't seen it, I would suggest that you do that. And one of the recommendations he made, one of his main recommendations, was that we do a visioning process for our community, that we do a visioning process to find out, we know where we are. He did that. He did that assessment of the Twin County area, and we have some real pluses in our area, but we have some areas that we really need help on, and we need to work on some negatives that he found. So this started back in 2010 when Dr. Johnson did the study for us. He came in and did a report, and the next process started at the end of his report. He gave the report to the county commissioners and to the city council members, and what he did was essentially say, here's what you have, here's where you are today. But then he urged us to go to the next step, which was this visioning process. And so I want to thank the Rocky Mount City Council members and both Nash and Edgecombe County Commissioners for deciding to take the next step. And that next step was this process of doing the visioning process, which we've done. And this is, as you see, served as an opportunity for residents and community leaders to create a livable, prosperous roadmap for the future. And that's really what we're trying to do with this process. And you'll hear more about that from the co-chairs that were very instrumental in the work that's been done in the last 12 months. So as we go through this, I think that part of what we want to do is also thank some of the people that have been involved in this. First off, the Rocky Mount City Council, the Nash County Board of Commissioners, the Edgecombe County Board of Commissioners, the Rocky Mount Community Foundation also helped fund this process. And we also want to recognize our elected representatives. I don't know that we have any other members of the Rocky Mount City Council here. If you're here, stand up or raise your hand. I think I saw a couple of them. See Chris Miller, Tom Rogers, W.B. Bullock. Are there any Nash County commissioners here? Lois up there. I can't see everybody because of the lights. I know I saw a couple of Nash County commissioners. I came in up here on the left, Robbie and Mary. And Edgecombe County commissioners, do we have any of those in the room tonight? I see Wayne here from Nash County. Are there any Edgecombe County commissioners here tonight as well? At any rate, we do want to thank them because this was a commitment, not only financial, but also time involved in doing this process. If you look at where we were, we are going to also thank some of the people that were involved in this process. And I can't say enough about the three co-chairs that have been part of this process. They spent an awful lot of time and effort in this, not only to say, yeah, I want to do it. I believe in Rocky Mount and I'm willing to give the time, but I want to recognize them, and I'm also going to recognize members of their committee in Nash, Robert Beeman, and Robert's up here on the stage with me. If you'll just wave your hand, Robert, and let them know who you are. Working with him in Nash County was Mike Hancock, Johnny Bass, James Austin, Joseph Powell, Lou Harvey, Lewis, Patsy McGee, and John Hazel. If any of you are in the audience, can you just raise your hand and let people know who you are? So thank you for your help along with Robert. On Edgecombe side of town, we had a county commissioner that stepped up and said, I'd like to do this. I'd like to be the co-chair in Edgecombe County. And so Donald Boswell is up here. I'd like him to recognize him. And along with him, working with him were Bobby Martin, Jerry Spruill, Deborah Lamb, Randy Dykeman, Ernest Taylor, and Gwendolyn Pitt. And if any of you are there, and I saw Deborah up there, but any of y'all here, if you can raise your hand, and again, just want to recognize you. And last is from Rocky Mount with Sue Perry Cole. And on her committee, she's up here as well, was Chet Mottershead, Joyce Dickens, Trip Evans, James Gilliard, Jeffrey Batts, and Quincella Bunn. So if you're in the audience, if you could raise your hand, I would appreciate it. And I want to thank all of them because it was truly a commitment. I know many of you have been involved with the study circles that were done out in the community, but they spent whatever time you spent, they've done it exponentially, and so we want to thank them, and let's give them all a round of applause for helping us out.
Again, I'd like to thank everyone for being here today. This process is important to me. And a couple other things, we also held a public forum, which many of you are aware of. We tried to frame some of the key issues, and we conducted a broad community outreach, and we sponsored region-wide study circles. And that's what I want to talk to you just a few minutes today about. And it was the goal of the study circles to create a shared vision and strategic plan. I'm not used to all this electronics. I'm going to do the best I can. Create a shared vision and strategic plan based on the collective quality of life goals that community members have for their region and the position the Twin Counties to succeed in globally competitive economy. Now, one of the steps in the study circles was to focus on to create dialogue and also to involve as many people as we could. That was the goal of this whole process, and to turn this process back into the hands of the people, and that's what we feel like we've done here. The second thing is to see how much work was completed. If you look at the numbers, there were 64 study circles formed, and they met from April to September. We had 360 plus participants, and as it says here, our participants evenly split between male and female, participants evenly split between African American and whites, and participants mirror demographics of the MSA, which is the multi-regional statistical analysis. And we also had a health summit. This is another important part of study circles. Next, in our study circle process, we had 1 to 4 sessions. It was facilitated by trained facilitators, and groups used discussion to guide for the Twin Counties Vision and Strategic Plan process. A vision for the Twin Counties, as it says here, identification of the challenges faced by the region, and generation of action ideas to address challenges and achieve the vision. I received an email not long ago from Eric Evans, our Assistant County Manager, and you will see it right here in front of you. If you like to look at graphs, this is a nice one. But the bottom line is this. It mirrors our population exactly in the area from the 2010 census. So it's right there in front of you. We had very good participation, and it did mirror us as we should have done in the process, and that's exactly what took place, and we're glad that it worked out like that. And finally, from our study circle results, there will be other things to follow, but there was a 76-page report, and I held this up the other day at our little get-together, but this is a lot of hard work from a lot of dedicated people, and it was a summary of the study circle recommendations, and that will lead hopefully to action ideas and to action groups that you'll hear a little bit about later. But most of all, we had a lot of people who committed a lot of time and a lot of hard work to what they've done here. This is no mandate from the group, it's simply suggestions that we feel as a united group that we can get together and work on. So I'd like to thank all of these people for their time in participating in our study circles, and certainly I would like to thank our facilitators. Some more graphics for you. And I just gave you the study circle results. And I do want to take just 1 second to recognize some people because of their commitment and their time. And I would simply ask, if I call your name and you're here, if you will stand up. Now these people, the first group I'm going to announce, held 6 study circles. That's what they did, and that was their contribution. And that was May Parker and Ann Williams. If you're here, stand up. Thank you. The next person held 5 study circles, and that was Paula Battle. Ms. Battle. The next person, 4 study circles, was Karen Calloway. And then 3 study circles was quite a few people. If you're here, please stand up. Ken Hunter, Christy Taylor, Brian Hassel, Randy Dykeman, Joe Powell, Kathy Akers, Shanika Kent, Leah Henry, Sharon Spain, and Alan Thompson. They held 3 study circles. And certainly last but not least, people that held 2 study circles were Alice Thorpe, Dennis Gunter, Kelly Lee, Bobby Jones, James Austin, Jamila Hawkins, Mike Tolson, Elaine Harrison, and Shantae Wallace. So if you don't mind, let's give this group a round of applause. I did want to mention one thing as a footnote. I received a call from Leonard Wiggins, who is, of course, the chairman of the Board of County Commissioners this morning, and we have a very important issue going on in Princeville tonight, so he could not be here. I just wanted you to know that he certainly, as we certainly support the process, but Leonard just simply had something that he could not make it tonight, but he is behind us 110%. Thank you.
Each of us have an investment in our community, and maybe that's our homes, or our businesses, or our jobs. Maybe it's our children or our grandchildren in my case. And you're here because you care about that investment. Selfishly, we want to protect that investment. We not only want to protect it, we want to see it grow and be enhanced. And of course, community is what you and I make it. And community is what is required from all of us to have a community that is one we're proud of and one we want to be a part of and to be associated with. And so one of the great benefits, I think, of this process that we've been through is it brings together community, and it's brought together much of our community across 2 counties and across the city, and it's been a great experience for me and most of us who've participated. And one of the assignments for these 360 people who met, 2,400 hours already that have been put into this process, was to develop a vision statement. And a vision statement is where we want to be, where we aspire to be and to become. And that process should be one that guides us. All of the work that comes out of the future action groups, action committees that are going to be putting together strategic plans and strategic initiatives should all be directed toward achieving, all of their work toward achieving the vision statement. And so the vision statement is aspirational in the sense of where we want to be. It's a description of what we need to achieve and to accomplish over the short term and the long term. And so this is the vision statement that has come out of the many conversations, many hours that have been developed. And so let me just share it with you. The vision statement for our area is the Twin Counties region is a thriving crossroads of innovation where the broad talents and experiences of our many communities foster shared opportunities for educational achievement, economic success, healthy families, and welcoming neighborhoods. Well, the heart, the core of this vision is the region and the community, all of us working together. And so I've been encouraged by this process by seeing young and old, black and white, from the two counties in the city. You know, as the two counties were connected by this city. And the success of this city determines so much of the success of each of the counties. And so what we aspire to as we've talked together, these 360 people, is we aspire to see ourselves as a community working together, committed as a region to seeing this community become a thriving crossroads. And a thriving crossroads is one that is healthy, it is growing, it is expanding, it is becoming. And so our desire and our aspiration is to see just that this region, Nash, Edgecombe counties, and Rocky Mount become a thriving crossroads of innovation. And innovation talks about creating, becoming new, developing maybe new concepts, new ideas, new working relationships, new jobs, and recreating ourselves in many ways. And so most of us have grown up in in this country and in eastern North Carolina, and we have experienced opportunities. Some of those opportunities seem to be diminished in so many ways with loss of jobs and maybe our education system in some places or some ways not being what we want it to be. And so there's a sense of maybe a loss of opportunity by some of our citizens, and we want to see opportunity again be broad in scope, and many opportunities in the educational arena, in the economic and business arena, and for our families and in our neighborhoods. So our vision statement is to see just that this community not be two separate counties and a separate city, but that as a region we're working together to become a thriving crossroads of innovation where opportunities prevail for all of our citizens and for my children and for my grandchildren. So it's been a great pleasure to be a part of the process so far. I look forward to that. We need your help, and we need your help to be a part of these action groups, and Sue Perry Cole is going to come and share what those action groups will be doing.
My name is Susan Perry Cole, and I just wanted to, before I share a few comments with you about the action groups, I just wanted to give a few personal remarks and say how wonderful an opportunity this has been for me. I have really learned an enormous amount just in participating in this process. So I want to thank the City of Rocky Mount for appointing me and all of you for allowing me to serve. And I want to certainly thank Robert and Don, the two other co-chairs, for the opportunity to serve with each of them. You know, we had a little meeting the other day with the three governing boards that have sponsored this process, and I made a comment then, and I'd like to share that comment with all of you. I applauded the governing boards for the leadership that they have demonstrated throughout this process and coming together. And if you're from the region, you know that that is a big outcome in and of itself. And I said to each of the elected officials how proud I was to be a citizen of this region at this moment in history and see the many, many boundaries that each of the boards has crossed. I pointed out to them that they have crossed jurisdictional boundaries, boundaries of race, boundaries of party and boundaries of class. And they've done all of that in the name of the common good of this region. And I'm very, very proud to be standing on this platform with such a distinguished group of leaders, true leaders in our region. So let me get started, see if I can do this. Am I doing this right? Go back. Is that it? Yeah, there I am. So they asked me tonight to talk to you about action groups. And I just want to say that the action groups, the priority action groups, really have been developed based on the results of the study circle. So the groups are Align the Regional Leadership, and I just spoke about that a little bit, Job Creation and Talent Recruitment, Improve Educational Opportunities and Outcomes, Promote a Positive Image of the Region, Improve Quality of Life in Disadvantaged Neighborhoods, Encourage Healthy Lifestyles, and Crime Prevention and Safety. I think that you will notice that there are certain cross-cutting themes that are sort of woven in these different priority areas. Let me list a couple of them for you. One is retaining youth, and that is really an important goal for our region. Alleviating poverty as well as regional and race-based disparities. And all of this that we are about now, we're on a journey. We have decided to improve ourselves, and we want to tell a new story about the Twin Counties region. So now we have to get to what the next step is, and that's what we're talking about tonight. So we are about to form action groups. Action groups are groups that have been formed to focus on action topics, and I just listed those topics for you. The purpose of each action group is to develop the strategic plan for that particular topic and plan and take action where feasible. Groups will meet over the next several months and will complete their work by late spring. Now, you received a card as you came in this evening, and some of the information I'm about to discuss is really summarized on that card that you received. There's really two levels of involvement. There's a level of involvement which we're calling action group participation or participant. This is a very high level of commitment to these action groups, which will meet weekly or bi-weekly for at least 3 months. And groups will continue to meet for the remainder of the year to focus on implementation. You may be highly motivated and you might want to be a part of that level of participation. But then there's another level of participation, and that is the forum participant. This is a more moderate level of commitment. You will be serving as a sounding board. You may participate in meetings. And most of the participation in this level of commitment would be via email or blog posting. So you can decide for yourself what level you want to function on, but the most important thing is get involved, remain involved. And I want to applaud those of you, and I know many in this audience have already been involved. The action group strategic plans later will be compiled into a single Twin Counties visioning and strategic plan. The visioning and strategic plan will be reviewed by the coalition, which is a part of the group that I am participating in, and will be submitted to the governing boards for adoptions. Recommendations may include actions for local government, businesses, organizations, and community members. Now, each plan may be slightly different depending on the nature of the topic, but generally speaking, each plan will include specific objectives, priority and metrics to measure progress, priority action to achieve the objectives, a timeline for action, recommended responsibilities for action, and a system of oversight and monitoring progress.
Our next speaker is new to the community. I met her the other day for the first time, and when you talk about the action steps that they just talked about, education, I think, was the third one on the list, and there's been an initiative that has been started in Rocky Mount called the Strategic Twin County Education Plan, and this was really a formation out of the result of some work that the co-chairs of the Chamber of Commerce had done on education. And at the end of the day, Cummins Diesel here in Rocky Mount has funded this project on their first phase to implement a working together relationship, which Dr. Bennett will tell you about more as she comes up, between the two county school systems, which has never happened in our particular area. So tonight what we want to do is have her come up and give us an overview of what's happening with that program now. She's just started. The other day I met her and she'd been working with it for 4 days and she did a great job. So she's had 2 more days now, so I know she'll do an even better job. But welcome, Dr. Bennett.
Thank you, sir. Thank you and good evening. I want to begin with just a very brief video about STEP, the Strategic Twin Counties Educational Partnership.
Economic development is about wealth building. It's about what it takes to create a better standard of life and quality of life for the citizens in your community.
Jay Garner is right. Increased economic development will improve the lives of everyone in Edgecombe and Nash counties. Just look what has happened to Research Triangle Park over the last 20 to 30 years, and you'll understand the benefits of attracting more businesses to our area. But in order to attract those industries and businesses and the professionals we need to run them, we need to overcome one major challenge: a better educated workforce.
STEP is the Strategic Twin County Educational Partnership that is a coalition of community stakeholders that are organized in a separate 501c3 nonprofit entity to improve educational outcomes for the Twin County region.
Our goals are to support the community groups already working to help children and families, as well as to support our 2 school districts as they improve 3rd grade literacy, completion rates for high school students, and workforce readiness. STEP is divided into 3 operational groups. 13 business, education, and community leaders serve as the board of directors who will fund and manage the STEP mission. The Community Action Coalition has 50 volunteers representing elected officials, human service agencies, the faith community, business, education, and local nonprofits who set goals and strategies to improve community support of children and families. The Education Working Group is comprised of 22 leaders from the 2 school districts who focus on school improvement through common planning, improved professional development, more efficient use of public resources, and the infusion of private funds.
STEP is really about looking at bringing the 2 counties together, and we want to look at partnering and collaborating so that we can look at capacity building, we can look at joint planning, so that we can look at how we can work together across the Twin Counties to strengthen working with the school systems, the business community, and the community at large.
And we are thinking that STEP will help us align all of these resources, different people from different sectors, and create an infrastructure that lasts and that's sustainable.
That's right.
Because we believe that this targeted investment will produce long-term results.
It's, I think, something that's very urgent and something that requires all of us to come to the table now and even to step out of our boxes now.
This initiative gives us an opportunity to invest our resources wisely, gives us an opportunity to form partnerships and collaboration, and gives everybody in the community an opportunity to buy in.
The STEP initiative will provide the Nash Rocky Mount Public School System the opportunity to engage in a new conversation about transforming education in this community.
It is offering an opportunity for our school system to increase student achievement, for us to be a part of a very unique initiative that is unlike any other in the state of North Carolina.
We need more students with good thinking skills, good literacy, and math science skills, and the ability to work as a team member, just as you see behind me here in our plant.
I think workforce readiness now requires them to have the types of skills that are necessary to be successful, whether they choose to be a plumber, whether they choose to be a welder, whether they choose to be a doctor, whether they choose to be a teacher.
STEP is going to provide professional development opportunities to build leadership capacity and to increase the performance of teachers within our school system.
When you think of STEP, think higher achievement, better support of families, more help for teachers, continuous improvement of schools and community organizations, more efficient use of resources, and teamwork across our twin counties. That's why the Cummins plant and the foundation have stepped up.
STEP will only work if we all work together to improve education in the Twin Counties. It's up to the area business and industry leaders to get in step and provide the resources to ensure the strategic Twin Counties Educational Partnership achieves success. So please help, and please get in step. Let's do it for the children, and let's do it for the future of our community.
So very briefly, let me just continue the conversation about who we are as an organization. When we consider the education working groups, the Improving Educational Opportunity group that has actually met, and the study groups have spoken and have gleaned information from the communities, one of the things that STEP is excited about partnering with the Visioning Committee on is really taking the educational recommendations, suggestions, and through a root cause analysis, which we will do with the support of Six Sigma and the Cummings Foundation, we'll work through and help develop and devise a strategic plan for education for the Twin Counties. As was mentioned in the video, our overarching goals really are to collaborate with all the groups who are interested in public education. And that also would mean not just those interested in K-12, but for those who are interested and are currently doing great works in supporting birth to pre-K, as well as that natural connection and link from high schools to the community college or to workforce. Also, to support and provide assistance, as indicated by both superintendents in the video, to both Nash Rocky Mount and Edgecombe Public Schools, looking at improvement of the overall student performance, looking specifically at the achievement gap. And of course, to support agencies within the area as we look at the negative effects of poverty and that impact on schooling. So in other words, how do we work together to create a healthier community, healthier families, healthier students when they arrive at school, so therefore their educational experience can be more positive? Our overall objectives, if we look at how we will focus our work, there are lots of things that we could say we want to do, but we believe in having a laser focus in order to really reform some of the educational pieces that your report, in fact, suggests. One is to improve workforce readiness for the current and future employment needs in the community. When we speak with the business community, and some of you here may be business owners or employers, one thing that we hear across the state is when kids graduate from public schools, they are not employable. What do we need to do? So we have to look specifically at what needs to change, how we can improve, how we can refine or reform processes that are in place currently in our educational system to support those 21st century skills that our students need to have so that when they leave a public school, they are employable or they're prepared to go to the community college or to a university. Whatever their career path happens to be, we want them to be successful. Another one you will see, of course, is completion rates and performance at all levels. That's just not looking specifically at graduation rate. That's important as well. But success and really their performance, increasing performance at every level. And as you'll notice with the next bullet, you'll see improving grade 3 literacy across the population of both counties. Lots of research, and we know that you can find research on about anything, but there's a consistent theme in literacy research. If students are not reading on grade level by grade 3, by the completion of grade 3, they continue to struggle at a greater level every year. And chances are students who are retained at those lower levels because of issues with literacy, their percentage, the probability, I should say, that they will actually graduate and, is lessened every year, because kids tend to graduate, have a higher rate of graduation if they move on with their peers. We don't want to promote them if they're not ready. We have to make sure that they're ready. And our 2 school districts right now are looking at great innovations and great reform efforts to improve that. But STEP will also assist with that, as well as to develop a plan that engages and aligns the community to advance more effectively together. The same idea that the Visioning Group has. So what we as an organization, STEP, would like to do, we will look at the Improving Educational Opportunities and Outcomes recommendations and work with that piece of the visioning process, along with our Community Action Coalition members, a 50-plus group, inviting others who may also be interested in public education to join with us. And we will work with developing a strategic plan to support the changes that need to occur, that we as a community feel are right for our students here, so that they in fact are employable when they graduate from high school, that they can compete in a global economy. The information for contacting me is listed here. I'd love to speak with you. stepnc@centurylink.net is an email address that you may use. And my office is in the Cummings Training Facility out in Whitakers. I look forward to working with you and to hearing from those of you who are interested in working with us on educational reform. Thank you.
Right now, I'm going to invite up to the podium someone that has been involved in this whole process. When we decided to do the visioning process, one of the issues we had was finding someone that could facilitate a process like this, that knew how to do it, that had done it in other communities, that were looking to have someone that had the background in doing this. Once we did decided to do this, take on this process, we sent out an RFP to different companies that do this type of work, and over an interview process, when they all came in, narrowed it down to 3 companies and brought them in, there was one company that we felt was head and shoulders among the rest of them. And at this point in time, we selected a company called Skio. They're out of Charlottesville, Virginia. And at this point in time, I want to call Mike Hancock up. He is with Skio, to see if you have any questions or he feels like that anything's been left out of this process tonight, that he can maybe fill in the gaps. Mike?
Thank you. Could we bring the lights up a little bit to go into the question and answer session? The mayor asked that I do one thing. There's one group of folks that haven't been acknowledged. We acknowledge the study circle participants, the facilitators, the coalition, the co-chairs, the elected officials who had the vision to do this process. But there's a group of staff who work for Edgecombe, Nash, and the city of Rocky Mount, who have been very instrumental in this process, and without their efforts, they've really kept the ball moving. And so I'd like to acknowledge those folks, and if I leave anybody out, please forgive me and speak up. But Nancy Nixon, John Geseman, Rosemary Dorsey, Ken Graves, Teresa Pinto, Leah Henry, Eric Evans, Ann Wall, and Peter Varney have all worked extremely hard on this process, and I'd like to give them a hand for all the work that they've done. And then one more comment before we open it up to any questions. Collaboration and working together is hard. It's much easier to just kind of go off and do your own thing. And this has been an extraordinary effort to watch. The process that we've designed and the work that we're doing is designed not so much just to come up with a plan, but to build the skills for people learning to work together. I had this conversation very early on with the coalition about the work the Ford Foundation has done on building wealth in communities, and they focus on 7 different forms of capital. 30-second economics lesson, capital is simply that portion of our current production that we put aside and save to make ourselves more productive in the future. So oftentimes when we talk about capital, we think about financial capital. But there's 7 different forms that the Ford Foundation focuses on in terms of building wealth in communities. Human capital, simply if you invested money in college rather than spending it, you built your own human capital. But one of the really key things that we find around the country in successful communities is where they have really strong social capital, the ability to work together, trust in each other. And in the year that I've been involved in this process, it's been really great to see the cooperation that is starting to build and people learning to work across those lines that normally divide people, whether that's been with the members of the core team, the coalition members, and the folks in the community. So I really want to applaud this community for having done the work that you've done. You're laying a really great foundation for the work that's going to happen next and for the success of this community in the future. So when we originally envisioned this meeting, it was to be a celebration of completing the study circle process. Something nobody here had ever done before. We had almost 400 folks in the community participate, give up their evenings or time during the day. We had outstanding facilitators who facilitated multiple groups and gave up lots of their time for free to do this process. So I want to applaud just the process and the fact that you folks have come together and gotten this far. So